Sounds good. All right, we're rolling. Steven,
Yes.
thanks for being here, man.
Tim, thanks for having me, man. This is
Yeah.
sweet.
Tell me about stage confidence, what it is.
Stage confidence is it's a business where I use improv as a tool to help people have better communication and better relationships.
So if you pull it in a hair.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah.
It's good. Okay.
How'd that start? How'd you get into it?
Oh, I'll give you the long story because we got time,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So I got my degree in applied math and statistics. So anytime somebody was like, "What are you studying?" Be like, "Math." Be like, "What are you gonna do? Teach?" And I'd get offended by that. Be like, "No, I'm not gonna teach. I'm gonna make a 6-figure salary." Blah blah blah. Um, my senior year of college, I was doing national student exchange in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I took an acting class, acting for non-majors, and then an improv class. The improv class actually sucked. The acting for non-majors class was fucking awesome, dude. It was the first class that I genuinely like wanted to be at. So I came back to Bozeman and had mentioned to a friend who was doing theater stuff like, "Oh yeah, I took this acting class. It was awesome." She's like, "Oh, would you ever consider being in plays?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I didn't think much of it. Well, she followed up. And the next thing I knew, I found myself in the Rocky Horror Show as Brad, which is, if you know do you know the
I
Rocky Horror
don't.
Show? Oh, dude, it's that in and of itself is just wild. It's this cult classic. You show up, everybody has like call outs for it. The movie is so ridiculous that I think that's why it got a following. It's just like, what the fuck? Somebody put this in a movie? So it started with the play. We did the play. So I was like half naked and simulating sex with the dude on stage for my first play
Nice.
that I started doing.
That's how you got to start.
That's how you got to do it. Yeah. You jump in and everything is downhill from there.
That was here in Bozeman.
That was here in Bozeman. Yeah. And then so that was just community theater. I started doing more theater with that theater company. And then with it being community theater, you're donating your time and whatnot. So they're like, "Hey, we'll give you classes for free if you want to do classes." So I started taking improv classes and I fucking hated them, dude. I sucked at improv and I just hate sucking at things in general. Figured out kind of why I hated it. And then I bitched about it to the people who were running it. And I think they kind of were like, "Hey, if you think you know better, then teach." So I started teaching improv and found out that I loved it. And then I loved teaching. So that whole thing of like, "No, I'm not going to be a teacher," was pretty ridiculous. So started teaching improv. That theater and I went our separate ways. And it was kind of because I viewed improv as a way to have better relationships. I feel like the best improv is just like people showcasing really good relationship skills in front of other people. And I wanted that to be kind of the focus and like the growth that people can get through improv to be how I taught. And they were kind of uncomfortable with that. Like what I was proposing was to get really people out of their comfort zone, and they weren't comfortable with that. They thought that improv should just be like fun. People are coming here to have fun. And then I think it was a blessing, and it bummed me out at the time because I'd been with that theater for like 10 years. They sent me an email and were like, "Yeah, I don't think we want to work together anymore." And then it was the opportunity to like start my own thing.
How does it compare to, say, Toastmasters? I was doing Toastmasters for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
And, for me, to the extent that it's just speaking in front of a crowd.
Yeah, I mean, Toastmasters is great. I was a member of multiple Toastmasters groups around Bozeman too. Toastmasters is great for learning how to give a speech. There's a lot of, I think, detail in what makes a great speech and how to give a speech. The thing that Toastmasters never really touched upon, I don't think, was like the being comfortable with it. Toastmasters is great because it's a the group is usually amazing. I mean, tell me if this was your experience, but like every time I went there, it was just a room full of supportive people. it was similar to improv in that way, where you're just going, everybody's kind of there for the same reason, and they're there to support each other. Like I said, the piece I think that was missing was like what happens when you fuck up, and that there was still, I think, that fear there for me, and I think for a lot of people, of like, well, I'm going here so that I don't mess up. And one of the things improv does is it really, I think, addresses the fear of messing up. It's just like, hey, there are no right and wrong answers in this space, and all you're here to do is like play, have fun, and mistakes are encouraged and often make things even better.
Yeah, and imagine when you get to that level of comfort of things messing up, that's probably just a feeling where you don't start to overthink and stress out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
10x everything.
totally. And going back to why I hated improv in the beginning, like the thing that I realized that made it better for me is as soon as I stopped showing up to be good, like, that's what I was doing. I was like, oh man, there's this cool thing and I want to be good at it, but I suck at it. As soon as I started showing up just to like support the people that were there with me, is like, oh, I'm going to make them look good. It became way more fun, and it was weird too because everybody's like, wow, you're so good at this. And you're like, really? All I'm doing is like saying yes to what you're saying. And that was all it was. It's like, all you have to do is show up and not make it about yourself. And I don't know, that's true for, I think, a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that's like universally true. Just the more you're self-consumed with how you're showing up and what you're doing, then it starts to spiral and you get in your own head.
Yeah. 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 And it's a bummer because it feels like in our culture and society, the focus usually is on the individual. Like, hey, you got to get good grades. Like, you're in competition with your classmates, and it's just everything is competitive in that way. And I feel like improv is one of those very few things that's truly a non-competitive and a collaborative game.
I wanted to ask you a question, which I didn't know if would get us totally off in the weeds, but I was
Yeah.
thinking this when you're saying acting. In your opinion, do you think we're all essentially playing a character every day anyway? We're just so used to it that it's our personality. Hi, folks. Quick note from me. If you don't already know, the goal of Mountain Mule Media is to build real connection between Montana's businesses and the people they serve. If this episode or any other has given you something worth thinking about, smiling at, or passing along, I've got a small ask. Share it with a friend, text it to someone, post it in your story. That one simple action helps these businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this show keep going. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses. Now back to the show.
I think so. There's this guy that I follow, Vin Jang. Have you heard of him?
No.
Oh, dude, communications coach. He's phenomenal.
Oh, maybe I've seen.
Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah.
I'm sure he's kind of on everything. He's done some with like Chris Williamson, and
Okay.
I think he's got one. Yeah, maybe he doesn't have one with the Diary of CEO Stephen guy. What's his name? Stephen
Bartlett.
There you go.
It's Doak, man. Come on.
Was that? Yeah, Doak. That's right. Thought about that after you said that the other day.
It's this long running stupid joke every time someone brings it up.
So Vin Jang talks about this, and the example that he gives up is like with your voice. People don't want to change their voice. Like he talks about your vocal character in a way, and how to change your voice to be more like have more authority or something like that. And anytime you change that sort of thing, and this happens with improv too. So I've basically stolen what he says, and I teach it to my students too, where it's like I teach you different tools and in different ways of being in the world. And it's challenging because people know you a certain way. So when you change those sorts of things, there's pushback because people are like, wait, that's not you. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, no, this is basically, like you say, this is the character that I've had, and I've taken it on because of my parents, my upbringing, whatever it is, has kind of led me here. Once you have some new information and you play around with, his big example is playing around with your voice. So once you start talking in a little bit more of a high voice or having more of a sing-songy way of speaking, which is one of the ways that you become more influential with your speech, yeah, people would probably notice it and be like, "What are you doing?" And you have to like prep them for that. Hey, I learned this new thing. I'm going to be trying it out. Please, like, don't just shit on me and say, like, what are you trying to do? Like, that's not who you are. So I think we have our character that we play, and the real issue is that people like to pigeonhole us into that character too. Be like, hey, here's the character you play. Like, stay in your lane. Don't play anything else.
I can relate to that so much because I grew up on the other side of the country.
Mm.
Everyone I grew up with, my siblings and friends when I was a kid would call me Timmy. I moved out here. I moved west when I was in my mid-20s. I'm an adult. I introduced myself as Tim. When those two worlds would cross over each other, and one of my siblings, hey Timmy, this or that, and someone would be like, did they just call you Timmy? They're looking at me like that's so foreign to them. It's a different person.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I find it funny when I go back home. It's almost like a different identity, and some old habits will start creeping in. I'm like, man, I haven't had a. I when I was younger, I chewed tobacco, and I swear I'd go around some friends and I'd have those cravings again. I'm like, that doesn't happen in years. I'm like, what's going on? And it's that old personality. But I would argue that if I was still there, I would be somewhat pigeonholed in that. I completely agree that your
Oh,
environment and
yeah.
your surrounding will pigeonhole you into that personality.
Yeah. That's funny you mentioned the like being around old friends. I've learned so much, and I think I've grown so much that it makes me uncomfortable often to be around some of my old friends because I remember who I was, and I wasn't a piece of shit, but it's like,
I couldn't agree more.
yeah, it just feels weird. You're like, oh, I think you know me as old Steven,
Mhm.
and how do I communicate to you maybe that I've changed? Or yeah, it's an interesting feeling for sure.
And I think my brain has probably unconsciously just blocked off some memories and some things. And it's some people tell me stories and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think you're lying to me, but it's almost hard to believe that that's who I was, and
Yeah,
it's just growth, especially from your
yeah,
teen years through your mid 20s and 30. There's a lot of change.
dude, kids are stupid. I was such a stupid kid, and it's yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and you grew up here in Bozeman, so
yep.
you're kind of you got a lot of street cred.
Yeah,
You grew up here.
I suppose maybe thankfully most of us move away. I don't
Yeah,
know. It does feel like people are like, oh, you're actually from here, and I'm like, oh yeah. It seems like a lot of us moved away. So
yeah. What was that like? What's the transition? I think we talked about it a little bit when I met you, but the
yeah.
transition of what Bozeman probably was when you were growing up to what it is now, and good, bad, and different.
I mean, I tend to like it. I think my wife talks about it really well. Where we as our own business owners, more people just kind of means like more opportunity, more clients, more people who know about like what we do and want what we do. Um, I don't think Bozeman has gotten to a point where it's awful. The main things I think that stick out to me are I used like anytime I flew, I would almost always know somebody on the plane, and that has gone away to an extent. I feel like I've had way more flights where I'm like, I don't know a soul on here. And then my favorite hike, which I will not mention here, but I noticed there's just more people on it where you're like, oh, this used to be you run into like one or two people on the trail, and then it turned into like, oh, there's parking lot is almost full and is full, and there's quite a few more people.
I just don't think secrets are what they used to be with our access to technology
Oh
and
yeah,
our ability to share information.
yeah, yeah,
I say
definitely.
that too every time I travel. It's almost every time, if not every time, I see someone in the airport that I know. I've only been here 6 years,
Yeah, yeah,
but it's the perfect size, and in the different ways that I'm involved in the community, it almost without fail. But I do say that every time, so I think I'm unconsciously searching for that one person. But it is cool. That's when it's kind of the sweet spot
yeah.
when I grew up in a town of 1,500, and it's annoying. You don't get away with anything. It's just everyone knows everything. They know what vehicle you drive. They know where you're from. They know who you are, and there's not much you get away with. And it feels a little bit invasive.
Yeah,
And then I get out here and I'm like, oh, this giant city. Oh, no one's gonna know. I remember someone came up to me at the grocery store around the corner here and like walks up to me and's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they're looking in my grocery cart. I'm like, "Oh man, I think I've been here too long. It's just starting to feel like my hometown." People are getting invasive, asking me what I'm buying for dinner, and
it's pretty small still. And Montana in general is small. That's crazy.
yeah,
I just had dinner at my parents' place, and they had a friend who came over, and he's dating this woman, and like 3/4 of the way through, I think we were almost at dessert. She was like, "Hey, do you run trivia?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Did you used to work at Famous Dave's?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, you know my daughters." And so like her daughter worked at Famous Dave's. Well, this would have been 18 years ago when we worked there. And her other daughter is dating this guy who, well, they used to come to trivia all the time, and he was in one of my first classes with stage confidence. Now they live in Spain and stuff, so I was just like ridiculous. Like, oh my god, it's such a small world.
that's funny. Is your wife from here too?
She's from West Yellowstone.
Okay.
Yeah, which is even
Oh yeah, that's
even more ridiculous.
I wanted to. I had this idea, and you can tell me if this will work or not. But if
Okay.
say I signed up for your stage confidence class,
Yeah.
like run me through how it would work. Let's like play out part of it.
Yeah, so I've recently changed the structure of how I teach too. So I used to have 8-week-long courses once a week for 2.5 hours. Now I'm doing weekend workshops. So I do Saturday, Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We serve you lunch. You're paid for by previous students. So there's no money up front. You just go through an application process. So you really learn, I think, in the application what the fuck we really do and what we're offering. And then you show up to Saturday, Sunday, and you have the option to basically pay for future students at whatever level makes you feel good too.
That's cool that you came up with that model.
I stole it, yes.
Okay, and it works to cover costs and make it worth your while.
So far, I really kind of just started that. I've only run one iteration of it. My November class coming up is full. I still have some spots in my October class, and it's up to 8 people.
Okay.
So 4 minimum, up to 8, so that we all get a good amount of time to kind of play around and be in front of everybody else.
Do you advise people do it with people they know, people they don't know? Is there?
Yeah, that's great.
Different.
I mean, anything and everything is. I mean, the beauty I think of improv is for anybody, and I think I'll have my first couple in class together in November, and I've dreamed of teaching a couples class because it's so like the communication skills and philosophies I would say are so good for relationships. Like it would be phenomenal for couples to learn like about improv foundations and adopt them as their relationship foundations.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good sales for me and my fiance to sign.
Yeah, right.
We were planning on it anyway.
Nice.
A year ago, a client of mine, she's a big fan and supporter of Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
She gave us tickets to his Unleash the Power Within.
Oh, sweet.
So we went together.
Where was that at?
That was in Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
So we did it. And, we sit down with a guy and he's sitting next to us and he says, "Hey, have you guys done this before?" We're like, "No, we really didn't know what we were getting into." I knew of Tony Robbins. My fiance, she had never even heard of him prior to this. So she was totally
awesome.
Thrown in, and just good on her for taking the lead. And he said, you guys, he's like, totally up to you, but what they say, if you come together, you should split up. And he said, because you might have all these, just like you were saying, back to you might be pigeonholed and you might kind of hold back. So we did. We were like, all right, whatever, let's do it. We're here. We came all this way. So we split up. The first day we didn't do it together. The rest of the 4 days we were there. Mm-hmm. But it's a crazy experience. As I said to my buddy, I'm like, it's probably one of the things where you can reach the craziest states without psychedelics or alcohol.
Yeah.
Because it very much changes your internal state.
Yeah, I got to know more about this.
We're going again next week. She gave us tickets again.
What?
Yeah. And we said,
ask for 3 next time.
She probably would if I asked her.
Dude.
We were at the from the last time we did it to now, we're like, maybe just once a year, it's a good refresher. And the
Mm,
environment of being in a stadium of people that just are all kind of on the same vision and mission to do better in their life and raise their state of being. You're like, so probably can't maintain this every day, but this is a cool way to live and a cool,
dude, that's
it
awesome.
in my opinion, it sort of expands uh, it expands what you think is possible.
Mm.
You kind of like, if you're like, no, that's not possible. And then you go through the 4 days out and you're like, whoa, I got to that state completely sober and I was up for 18 hours straight and slept for 3 hours and went the next day. And this 60 something year old guy is doing it and he has you walk across the coals. Like, we had no idea we were doing that.
Oh, literally?
Yeah.
Dang. What? Yeah. What were your biggest takeaways from that?
I mean, just that everything that I'm doing that's limiting myself or all my habits and patterns are self imposed.
Mm, nice.
It's a little bit of the environment you're in, but it's a lot of it's just not that easy to, snap your fingers but when you get around 12,000 people in a stadium, anyway, so yeah, I'm curious if there's that's why I was asking, is there any disadvantage to going with your friends and doing improv?
Oh, I mean, I don't think so. And it's interesting you brought that up. I was just talking to my wife about this too. It's like the experiencing things together piece. And maybe this isn't the same sort of situation, but I had a girlfriend once and I visited her in New York and she bought us tickets to this like experiential theater thing where you like go into this building and it's a kind of a choose your own adventure or follow around people who are involved in the story, like acting in different rooms and things. And I had the thought of like, hey, what if we what if we split up and then kind of like see things on our own and then we can come back and kind of like we'll have two different experiences that we can share together afterwards. And I realized, I think years later, I was like, that I think that was a terrible decision. Like that was an experience that she wanted like kind of for us and I fucked that up. Um yeah, I think there's still the relationship thing. That dude's probably right. If it depends on the relationship that you're in.
Yeah.
With me and my wife, like I can share anything with her. I think that's the way to go in relationships. So if you have that sort of relationship where you don't feel like you have to be a certain way around somebody, then yeah, it's going to be phenomenal for you both and you're going to have that experience together. And even, I guess, even if you do have the relationship of like, well, I can't really be my full self, I think you'd probably learn that pretty quickly and it would help out with that too. Um,
Yeah, for that to the Tony Robbins, we hadn't been together a long time, so we didn't do it the first day together, and then we did, and it was actually probably one of the most helpful things for our relationship. We're like, okay,
nice.
this is a new level of comfort and intimacy that you're. It could take a long time to get to because you're like, okay, I'm like, and then from there, that kind of set the foundation for a lot of our relationship.
That's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh, if you're lucky enough, I think to have a relationship start with that foundation.
yeah,
Oh, man, the places you can go, I think are
yeah.
unreal.
It's just kind of like all the kind of you're putting your best foot forward for a while
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that is just torn down. You're like, okay, this is all the bullshit, this is the good, this is the bad, and it was a two-way mutual thing, so for us it was very cool. And
Yeah.
now we're like,
Totally.
okay, like we've seen that, now we can go anywhere, and there was a new level of trust. It was very cool.
Yeah, that's sweet. What's the little quote that I love is vulnerability builds trust.
Yeah,
So if you can share the shit that's like, hey, these are the things that are keeping me from, I don't know, living my best life, however you want to say it, and have somebody know about that and be okay with it. Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome.
So someone signs up, it sounds like 6 hours for 2 days is the whole.
Yes,
Is that what you
math.
said, 10
I
to
think
4?
it's 10. Yeah, 10 total hours, right? I
Okay.
have to do this every time. This is crazy, dude. I'm a math major, and every time I think of time, I have to do like 10 to 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so yeah, 6 hours a day, so it's 12 hours total over the 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, if you're doing any of this, what's it look like, or what's the experience like?
The experience is like let's see here, you show up, we do kind of introductions, we do a nice visualization to help you kind of leave your shit at the door. We do warm-ups and kind of an introduction of what improv is, and in that intro, like what you're kind of working towards. Then we play improv games, and we introduce all of the tools of improv, like yes and you play. So it's really fun too. So you will have a lot of fun, and there is that aspect of just being on stage. Stage is loose term. It's usually a room, but you're performing in front of people, and you don't have a script. Like, it's all made up. So there's just that like vulnerable aspect in and of itself, of doing that, because you don't know what you're going to say. There's always concern, I think, that you're going to say the wrong thing. And I think that's another thing we focus on quite a bit, is like, there just is no wrong thing to say. It's a very different experience than most of us have, because almost always it's like, oh, there's a right way and a wrong way. And with improv, it's like, nope, that is not the case. Like, there's some guidelines. The rules of the game are there to help you improvise, but they're not hard and fast either. It's I would say it's freeing, maybe. Oh, I thought it's like one of my favorite quotes from oh, come on, Alan Watts.
Okay.
Alan Watts has this bit where he talks about freedom, and it's like, freedom is basically the freedom to be a damn fool, the freedom to like make mistakes, and then when you make them, like, not recriminate with yourself, but not do them again, or at least do them less often. And I fucking love that, dude. I just love the idea of freedom actually being the ability to just be silly and be an idiot and be a fool and make mistakes, and it being okay. And I think that's what keeps us locked in and stifled and stuff, is just this fear of doing things wrong.
Yeah, and all that tension. You carry that tension around, and then it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I think that relates back to the relationship thing. Like, if you're in a relationship and you're trying to do things right all the time, like, holy shit, that's gonna suck. But if you have that freedom to like be silly and make mistakes, and I don't know, I don't really like to say it this way, like, be you, I don't know, the magic happens when you have that ability.
Is there a particular demographic for who does this? It sounds like, in my opinion, it'd be an advantage to anyone that does it.
Yeah, totally. Yes, it would be an advantage to everybody and anybody. It's most of my students are kind of entrepreneurs in their 30s, 40s. I've had an 80-year-old in class. I've had probably early 20s too. I think that's the time where you start to really consider growth. That I don't really teach younger people. I'm about to teach a high school class, and we'll see how that goes. Usually people are like, hey, do you teach kids? And I'm like, fuck no. That typically turns into babysitting more than anything. I mean, kids, young people I don't know, they just don't really give a shit. And then older people too, I think oftentimes are like, oh, I don't need that. Like, why would I need that? I'm in my 50s and my life is pretty much decided. Like, why would I ever need something like that? So you run into those challenges of, I think kids are kind of the same way. I remember me being like, oh, I'm the smartest person I know. Like, why? I don't need your growth class.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's typically kind of middle-aged people.
Don't you love that though, when you get a guy that's 80 years old and he's like, oh, I just want to learn more.
Oh my God.
You're like,
yeah,
this guy.
You're like, fuck no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got another 40 years in him because he's going to keep growing and learning.
Yep.
Okay, so anyone that wants to that's into any type of self growth. I don't know. For me,
Yeah.
it sounds exciting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just it's fun too. It's fun. It's growth. I think so many people are terrified by the woman I talked about at the dinner party, who is my friend's mom. She's still just like, I'm terrified about that, and I still like we spent a lot of time actually um, sharing with her how great it is. I mean, obviously, I think it is. My buddy is was at dinner too, and he was talking. He does a lot of stuff with the comedy club in town and improv, and so he was talking about it. My wife's taking a bunch of classes. My mom is, in her 70s, and she's taking classes. She loves it. So we were all doing our best to kind of be like, no, like there's no need to feel terrified, and it's understandable. Like it's just that, again, wait, I have to be up in front of people and they're going to be judging me. And that's something we work on too, is like just getting out of that mindset of judgment. And once you practice being a good audience member too, of just like, hey, I'm going to support these people who are up there and I'm not doing anything. Well, you think people are more like you than not. So once you're up on stage, you'll think like, oh, these people are just like me and they're supporting me from the audience too. So
It sounds like a healthy mindset.
yeah. So much of it is mindset, man.
Do you do any stand up or
I
comedy?
have.
Okay.
Yeah, I have.
Because from what I understand, I've only been a couple times to I don't know, what's the name of the comedy place
Last
here?
Best Comedy.
Yeah, I've been there a
Yep.
few times, but it sounds like it's pretty popular in it.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I haven't been there for a while. I used to do the improvised musical there with those guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, comedy is, I don't know, the performance aspect of things uh turns me off, I think, these days. I love performing, and I think I love teaching more. So there's that. And then with performance, I think with almost anything, you get into like competitive mindset. Um, and I just want to avoid that stuff. And egos. I think egos is the one thing that I'm done with too.
Yeah, yeah, imagine that whole field of people is all kinds of complexities with ego and everything
Yes.
else.
Yes. And you find it everywhere. I think the theater and the performance and arts, I think in general, lend themselves or attract egos more than most professions.
I've heard people say it, some comedian stuff. There's obviously, and the person I heard say it is a comedian. He's like, there's when we all want to be on a stage in front of everyone, there's obviously something going on that we want that much
Yeah,
attention,
that's
some
right.
part of
That's
us.
right.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that's part of it.
Yep. Yeah, and dude, I wish I'm going to probably try to get back to getting my classes to have a showcase, because there is something magical about an audience. There's something magical about the relationship between performers and the audience, and I want everybody to experience that. So that can certainly be addictive, that sort of attention, and I think when it is relational, it's healthy, and it becomes unhealthy, right? When it's just like, oh, I got to have that. And that's, improv, I think, goes bad too when people are trying too hard. Like, oh, I got to make the audience laugh. You're like, no, that's just going to happen when you do the relationship part well on stage. Like the laughter is the byproduct of doing that stuff well. And then, I mean, to that too, like I love, I did so Tony Robbins-esque, I guess, one of those things what you were talking about. I was like, oh yeah, totally. Like being in a place where you're just there to work on shit. I did a 10-day silent meditation
Oh
retreat.
wow.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, phenomenal, life-changing. Probably the best thing I've done for myself. Probably the best thing I've done for my family. And after that, one of the guys who was there, he was kind of asking me what I did, and oh, is it comedy? No, like, oh, I was saying exactly this. The comedy is the byproduct of improv. He's like, well, how do comedians get good then? Are they just funny? And it's like, no, actually, it's exactly what we learned in meditation, which is awareness, equanimity, and impermanence. So a comedian really gets good by just writing a shit ton of jokes, going and performing them and sucking, like just bombing terribly. But they're aware of what's going on. So they're aware of the jokes that work and they're aware of the, 99% of them that don't. So then the impermanence part comes in, like they just cross off all the jokes that didn't work that even they thought, they're like, that was a really good joke. I guess that one's going away. Then they write more jokes. They go and they bomb, but they bomb a little bit less because they have some of the jokes that are good. And then they just keep reiterating. The equanimity piece is like when you go and you bomb, you're like, great, I bombed. Cool, I learned what didn't work. Then you go, you keep reiterating. When you get your Netflix special, then it's like, oh, every joke lands. Everybody loves it. It's amazing. And even then, the equanimity comes in. You're like, great. You go back to the bottom. Like you start writing jokes and you start sucking again at the bottom and you move your way back up. So it's like comedy isn't just like, oh, that person is just hilarious all the time. It's like, no, it takes being intentional. It takes, again, risking sucking, listening to that, being okay with that, and then working your way up to being amazing, just being okay with that and going back.
Probably having the emotional strength to suck that many times and still do it, because how hard is it when we get that much negative feedback to keep going?
I mean, I think that's why so many comedians take their own lives. That's not easy.
Yeah, it's got to be brutal.
Yeah.
How long ago did you do that silent retreat?
March of this year.
Oh wow. Was it blinded too, or it was just silent?
No, it's just silent. So the way I explain is kind of like they just take care of you while you're there. They feed you, they house you. You're not really supposed to do anything else. You're not supposed to read. You're not supposed to write in your journal, exercise. It's like you are just there to kind of learn how to meditate. So you do have like an audio that teaches you the technique for meditation. And you, man, it's just incredible what can happen when you get rid of all distractions in life and can just be, kind of with your thoughts and reconnect kind of your mind with your body. It's wild.
Yeah, it sounds kind of intense, just especially in the world we live in now with the amount of distraction and stimulus.
Yeah, well, and I mean, one of the ways I kind of tried, I stopped trying to sell it to people. I mean, that's the model that I stole. It's an application. You go and attend. You don't pay anything, and at the end, it's like, if you want to, bless others with these benefits too, then donate to the cause. Otherwise, like, please just be a better human being and move on. Be out in the world.
Yeah, that's cool that you did that. Was that local here or that was somewhere else?
That was in Lava Hot Springs, Idaho. So there's I think there's 13 centers around the country that teach the exact same thing. And then there's like 400 around the world. It's called Vipassana. But man, I feel like you and Amy, like you could go and do it together. Men and women are separated. But damn, that would be another thing that you guys would you'd be so far ahead of like every other couple if you had gone through that together.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
I just saw something yesterday. A kid, they were having the boy was 15, so this was sort of his initiation, and he just did a 24-hour silent blindfolded.
Oh, wow.
But it's the same thing. It's sort of his initiation into becoming a man.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought that was cool because they say, that's pretty lost in modern society where a boy becomes a man. There's not really any ceremony or anything. And it sounded cool. And it's, it's not overly intense, but for 24 hours for a 15-year-old kid.
Dude, absolutely. Was it a denominational thing or was
I don't know. I just saw a clip of it. I thought it was on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, man. Anything like that I think is worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. He was kind of saying after, like, man, it makes me appreciate my parents a lot more and a lot of stuff. And just to be able to think that much and not, it's got to be tough being that age when you grow up with phones and computers. And I was to an extent in the sweet spot because that wasn't around when I was a kid. So I have seen a little bit of both sides. It's a
Yeah.
much different world now.
Even for us, I like have to delete my YouTube app from time to time.
Yeah.
Because I just get stuck on there. And I was working with a coach for a while, and she mentioned just like, yeah, just disconnect. I've been consuming, I had been consuming, and I still do. I just consuming all kinds of things, podcasts. Like, oh, if I'm in the car, well, like I'm gonna listen to something. I'm gonna grow myself like all the time. If I'm going on a walk with my dog, like I'm listening to a podcast or a book, and I wasn't like leaving time to have my own fucking thoughts.
Yeah.
And I kind of stopped like working with her. I at least was like, okay, I'm not going to listen to music in the car for a time. Like I would take like a week off, but it wasn't until I actually took that retreat where I realized truly how much I was not letting my own thoughts happen. So it was, yeah, that alone I think was worth it.
Do you have kids or no?
2-step kids. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of protocols and stuff with them for technology, or none at all? Or how old are they?
They're about to be 14 and 18.
Okay.
And yes, there's a lot of protocols with our 14-year-old. Our 18-year-old is pretty self-sufficient, and she kind of, I think she does fairly well. Would we love to regulate that a little bit more? Would we love for her to be on her phone less? I mean, yes, I think in the same way that I'd love for myself to be on my phone less. It just doesn't seem to be as much of a issue with her. Our 14-year-old is I was going to say 100%, but it's fairly certain like he is addicted to screens.
Uh-huh.
You can basically get him to do anything if you offer screens. I don't do that, but like we regulate that to, I think it's 1 hour a day for weekdays, and then he gets 2 hours on the weekends, and Sundays he takes off. So that's what we've come up with. We've tried different things here and there, and yeah, it's challenging.
Yes, a guy that owns the MMA jiu-jitsu gym in town here that has been a big part of for a long time.
Mhm.
He coaches a lot of younger kids, and he's always studying different psychology and stuff with the kids. And
Nice.
from the way he understands it and explained it is, the kids will learn that they're getting the attention from the screen instead of the parents, because the parents will say, "Hey, here's the screen." The parents won't give them any attention, but the screen will. So the screen becomes something that they look to for that attention that they're not getting from the parents.
Oh man, okay.
It's wild.
I've never heard that perspective.
Yeah, and I don't know where he heard it. He might have made it up, but he said he studies a lot of stuff just because the kids start at 5 there. It's funny,
Yeah.
and I used to coach there, and when you were saying that, the 5 to 7 group is definitely just babysitting.
Yeah,
A lot of the older kids and teenagers are babysitting. Some of them are really interested in the martial arts. A lot of them have a lot of energy they need to get out. So,
well, and I'm sure you experience this too. When people ask me like, "Oh, do you teach kids?" It often feels like they're looking for a babysitter. Like, "Oh, I want my kids to be able to do something where you're in charge of them." So I'm sure like people just send their kids to martial arts too, just like, "Hey, go do this thing." Not to say, I don't know. It's probably, there's still value in that, but
yeah. No, Brian has said that man, the daycares, the after school programs, you could probably do really well in this town, because half of the time that's what it is. Here, my kids are getting done school. Can they come do this now? Can you watch them? Can you take care of them?
And of course, it makes us as parents feel better because you're doing an activity that's like, you should be learning something valuable there.
And please make them disciplined and everything else.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
And when they come back, they should be good to go, right?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, that's what you're in charge of.
For the 2 or 3 hours a week. Yeah, that should do it.
Exactly. Oh man.
Well, cool, man. So if anyone wants to do this, where do they find you? Where do they sign up?
Yeah, stageconfidence.com. That's the spot, and there's an application button like right there. I think we have like I said, I think there's a couple spots left for October 18th, 19th. And then I'll be kind of releasing dates. I'm hoping to do at least one of those every month. So there'll be December one coming up. And then I do this for organizations too. So I'll do workshops for.
So if they just want to hold one for their business, for their school, whatever.
Yep, totally.
What do you think is the biggest thing you've learned about human beings in general from doing it? Is there anything that sticks out?
God, there's a lot. There's a lot. In those warm ups that we kind of do where we introduce improv, we learn so much about our communication, like our pitfalls. The ones that stick out are like we have a lot of self judgment. Like one of the first warm ups we do is just a simple word association game where it's just like you say whatever, like any word, it just doesn't matter. Say a word when it comes your turn. And it's just crazy to see people like not come up with a word. So there's blockage there again of just like, oh, I got to figure out the right one. You're like, that doesn't exist. I've already said that. So it's blockages that we have. They'll say a word and then they'll be like, oh, and you're like, oh, wow, you self-judged there. Like you thought that your word wasn't good enough for some reason. It's like, it's a word. It doesn't matter. The, the, the blockage of others in a way, or again, like the competition where, yes, you get that, I think, judgment of somebody else's word. They're like, oh, what did you just say? Like, huh? Oh, I guess I'll take that. You're like, fuck, dude, there's no need for that. And in the word but, I think has really stuck out to me as something that I've learned is probably the most nefarious little negator that we do in our language. We do it to ourselves in what we say, like, oh, hey, I really like that. But you're like, okay, cool. You just negated everything that you said there. And so that was a huge one. That was probably one of the first things that I learned kind of on my own by witnessing improv. We just have a fun yes and game in the beginning. And I was wondering, I was like, why isn't this, there's something off here. It was because people were saying yes, but, and it happens all the time where we negate in that like subtle way. We're like, oh, it's such a great day. And like, yeah, but it's going to rain later. And it's this way of just being like, yeah, you weren't right about that. Like there's something that you were missing and let me put that in there. It just
So it's a little bit
sucks.
dismissive. It's like agreeing, but
Yeah.
dismissing.
Yes. Yes. So that's like that just subtle shit that we have, has come to the forefront. And that's really where I try to work with people to understand like what's happening and what they're doing and how they're not, relationshiping well. How it's just that subtle stuff that we do where it's just like, hey, I heard what you said, but I'm not willing to actually like change my mind.
Do they do it as say are they self-degrading themselves when they use that? But you did a good job. Yeah, but I could have like is that a lot of it or is it kind of
Yes, and it's also like, oh, my idea versus your idea. So improv is everything's made up and it's all a make believe world. So anything could happen and anywhere at any time. The example I give for this usually is like we're in a scene together and I'm like, oh, it's so great here on the moon, and you had it in your mind that we were in a grocery store. So because that was your idea and that was in your mind, well then I'm wrong. So you're like, we're not on the moon, we're on a grocery store. And it's stuff like that where it's not mean, it's not really nefarious in any way. It's just this attachment to our own thoughts and our own ideas. So we see that a lot where it's like, yeah, but you know, you can make that happen where it's like, yeah, but this isn't real. Like you had that vision and you thought you were on the moon. It's really the grocery store. It's things like that where we can't let go of our own opinions, thoughts, shit like that. And that, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest issues we have in our culture right now is that my thoughts and opinions trump yours. And instead, it'd be so nice if we could play or be in relationship in the way of improv, where it's like, hey, I'm at least going to listen to you and be willing to change my thoughts and ideas. Yeah.
that's been one of the interesting things about doing podcasts and recorded speaking is I could listen back to years back and more than half the stuff I've said I might disagree with now and think, man,
Yeah.
how stupid was that? How locked in was I with those thoughts? And to hear yourself kind of second, kind of third person is very eye opening because it's
Yeah.
easy to be very blind to half the things we think and believe. And if you listen back, me and Kyle would go back and forth about that. He's like, man, I don't want to listen to half this stuff. I'm like, you got to do it, man. You got to. But it can be tough sometimes to hear yourself.
Yeah.
You almost
Yeah.
have a blinder where you don't hear half the things you think and say.
For sure. I mean, I think with that too, I work to not say things so definitively, and often I'll just like cite where it's from because, dude, almost none of my thoughts are my own. Like every people at least have already had those thoughts, or I've gotten them from other places. So like, yeah, when I teach, I'm almost always giving credit where I can or where I remember. The Vin Jang stuff is just like, oh yeah, Vin Jang says this. If you don't know him, fucking follow him because he's killer and he's in the same boat as I am. Like he learned most of this shit from mentors that he had. So it's if you're in that mindset, I think too of like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, the giants before me. Well, there's at least a little bit of that where it's like, well, it's not actually my thoughts and opinions. It's the thoughts and opinions that I've adopted that other people have had. So why would I even be attached to them in that way?
Yeah, it's very interesting. When you were saying the but, it made me think of this happens so many times with my fiance, and I stole this from somebody else, and I think it's so funny because we'll be having a conversation. I'll say, I feel a butt coming on. And I'll look at her and I'll say, however, and it's just, I'm doing the exact same thing, but I've replaced but with however, and she knows what I'm doing because we've done it so many times. But yeah, it was totally somebody else's idea, but I think it's hilarious and I do it. So I
Yeah.
love to when my butts that are coming on are called out, I just replace them with howevers.
Nice.
Yeah.
I work to replace them with and. I just like, yes, and here's this piece too.
You're essentially saying both can be true or we both can be right.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's the way of kind of validating what the person has said instead of, subtly invalidating it. It's like, yes, that is true. And let me build upon that with this.
If someone were to say in your example, we are on the moon, I actually thought it was a grocery store at first. How does that tie into the improv?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's when you get into like good improvisers will make that work. Good improvisers will be like, we're on the moon. And then the other person's like, no, we're not in the grocery store. You're like, yeah, the grocery store on the moon. Like, I know it's challenging to remember, Gladys, but we moved to the moon. Like, and I don't love to bring in like dementia or drugs or things like that. They're usually a terrible excuse for when scenes go off the rails. That is an option. That would be like, oh, remember, Gladys, we're on the moon. We moved here.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Stageconfidence.com.
Yep.
People can find you there.
Yep.
Sign up. Appreciate you, Steven.
Appreciate
this
you.
Was fun. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is great.
Thanks for listening, folks. You can find the full blog post for every episode along with key takeaways and links at mountain-mule.com. If you haven't yet, consider following the show. That one small action helps these Montana businesses get seen, grow, and thrive, and it helps this podcast keep going too. If you know a business that would be a good fit for the show, we'd love to hear from you. Just reach out through the website or social. Thank you for supporting these Montana businesses. See you on the next show.